Sometimes your fucking feet can kill you, but obviously here, um, it says gone for good. It says there's enough evidence to signal that many jobs are not going to come back. Coming out of Washington, stark evidence of the damage the resurgent viral outbreak has caused the U.S. economy could come Friday when the government is expected to report that the pace of hiring has slowed significantly after a brief rebound in the spring. As the coronavirus continues to transform a vast swath of the economy, it's becoming evident that millions of Americans face the prospect of a permanent job loss that will force some to seek work with new industries or in new occupations that they're not used to. If so, that would lead to a slower recovery in the job market than if restaurants, hotels, bars, and retail shops are able to fully reopen and recall all their laid off employees. If few expect that to happen. On Friday, economists expect the government to report that employers added 1.6 million jobs in July, which isn't good enough anyway, according to data provider FactSet, and that the unemployment rate declined from 11.1% to a still all-time high of 10.5. At any other time, a million or more jobs would constitute an unheard of increase. But July's expected gain would fall way short of June's 4.8 million increase, and would signal that hiring has sharply slowed. It would also mean that the economy has regained barely 40% of the jobs lost that fell to the coronavirus. The pandemic has lasted far longer than what most Americans expected, with the likely profound consequences for the economy. Traditional retail stores will probably never regain their pre-pandemic levels of sales or employment as consumers increasingly turn to internet purchases. Online healthcare will likely eliminate some doctor's office jobs, and online video conferencing will replace some portion of business travel, and these changes alone could destroy millions of jobs. Michelle Holder, a labor economist at John Jay College, said it's unlikely that many retail workers and others whose jobs are gone for good will find work this year, given that the viral outbreak will hold back hiring until a vaccine is widely available. It's definitely going to be a drag on the economy, she said. Stephen Davis, an economist at the University of Chicago, estimates that even after the virus has been brought under control, the proportion of people working from home will triple compared with pre-pandemic levels. That could result in the shuttering of many restaurants, coffee shops, and other downtown businesses. The real estate data firm Zillow said last week that most of its 5,400 employees will now be allowed to work from home indefinitely. This recession is unusual in the extent of permanent job reallocation that will ultimately result. David said. He and two co-authors have estimated that up to 40% of the layoffs in March through May were permanent. That figure will likely rise. He said the longer the pandemic squeezes this economy, we're kind of past the stage where we're quickly recalling workers to their old jobs, Davis said, and getting to the stage that people will need to get new jobs at new companies or in new industries. It is a trend that points to a grinding, sluggish recovery. Allegra Troiano initially thought her layoff in May from a company that provides English language instruction would last only through the summer, and that she'd be recalled back to the school as the school year began. But as the months have gone by, and with few school systems fully reopening their company, ELS Language Centers has made clear that's not the case. Just 10 of the 30 centers that operated before the pandemic have reopened, not including the one in Milwaukee, which Troiano managed. Troiano has tried to look for other jobs, but at 64 years old and with an autoimmune disease, she's reluctant to take any work that would require public interaction, and she fears that her age makes a job hunt more difficult, which is true. I am feeling that this is the end of my career, she said. The fortunate thing is I go on Medicare this January. And that's what her claim was, yeah. Many other companies are giving up and closing their doors. Dunkin' Donuts said last week that it will close 800 stores this year, about 8% of its total. Lord and Taylor, America's oldest retailer and the parent company of Men's Wearhouse and Joe's, both said Monday that they would file for bankruptcy protection. Last month, Brooks Brothers, another men's chain company hurt by the decline of formal business close, also filed for bankruptcy. One third of the bars and lounges have permanently closed nationwide, up from one quarter in late January, according to the small business data analyst firm Wampley. So have 1/5 of restaurants and 12% of retailer stores. The partnership for New York City, a business group called it's basically projects that it projects that 1/3 of the city's small business will close for good. In California, a mass layoff notices filed with the state now show that about half the job cuts are permanent, which is up from 17% in May. In a survey by the Associated Press Nork Center for the Public Affairs Research in July found that nearly half of those who have lost jobs during the pandemic say those jobs are gone for good. And by contrast, in April, 78% had thought the layoffs would prove only temporarily, and it's not. Business shutdowns have fallen disproportionately on black-owned businesses, which are more than twice as likely to close as white-owned small companies, according to a report from the New York Federal Reserve. Black-owned businesses are more often located in the coronavirus hotspots and are in service industries like restaurants and retail that have been hit hardest by the outbreak. The New York Fed said, looking forward, looking toward Friday's report. Researchers at the St. Louis Federal Reserve have analyzed data from Homebase, which is a provider for scheduling software to small businesses, and concluded that job growth weakened in July compared with June. Hiring has slowed much more in states with heavy viral outbreaks, including Arizona, Florida, and Texas, they said. Jane Oates, a former Labor Department official who was president of the nonprofit Working Nation, said that the widespread school closings this fall could also depress job gains in future months because some parents will have to quit their jobs to watch their children at home. She said, basically, she says, I worry about what that means for women who are most often in this role. Oates said, and that's going to be disruptive. And on top of that, and on top of these permanent job layoffs, there's a business that's not too far from where I live at, and it's a steel mill called ArcelorMittal, and they just announced that they're going to lay off 1,000 workers. So there's going to be another 1,000 jobs lost right there, especially for the state of Indiana. I'm not for sure when they're gonna lay off the workers, but they said that they were gonna lay them off. So I'm not sure when that's gonna be permanent. It's a good thing I still have my job, because even though I work in a retail store called Meijer, I still have my job. At least that's a good thing, and hopefully I can stay there permanently, because I like the idea of working anyway. So but if you like the job, yeah, I do like the job, yeah. But if you like the video, give the video a like, and subscribe to my channel, Ryan Van Wyk, and also hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when a new video comes out. And thanks for listening.